Hello everyone and welcome to my YouTube video. This is officially my first YouTube video and I'm ready to start my YouTube journey from here. Just to give you all a brief talk about what my channel is going to be about. It's going to be an educational platform for users to learn about science theories and math tricks. So I'm just going to be teaching you about science topics and math tips and tricks for you to use in your daily life. I thought I would start my YouTube journey talking about the circulatory system because I love learning about the circulatory system. So I just thought, why not talk about the heart and its working. So what I'm going to be talking about in this video is just going to be about 8th grade biology. So it's just the beginner and the basic learning about the heart and its working. So if you're excited, keep on watching and let's begin. So first, let's talk about the heart. So the heart is a muscular pumping organ present in your chest cavity and it's slightly tilted towards the left. Fun fact, your left lung is actually smaller than your right lung so as to accommodate space for the heart because it's tilted towards the left. The heart is enclosed in a double-walled sac called the pericardium and the fluid between the pericardium and the heart wall is called the pericardial fluid, and it actually protects the heart from jerks and shocks because the heart is obviously a very important organ of your body, the most important organ of your body, and to protect it we have this pericardial fluid. So if someone actually hits your chest extremely hard, this is what actually protects the heart from jerks and contractions. This is just a brief summary about what the heart is actually about. And now we're going to move on to learn about the parts of the heart. So the parts of the heart. We have quite a lot of parts of the heart, as you can see in this diagram. Actually, parts of the heart is pretty fun to say. You can try it yourself. And I'm pretty sure you all know that we have 4 chambers in the heart. The left atrium, the right atrium, the left ventricle, and the right ventricle. The ventricles are the bottom 2 chambers and the atriums are the top 2 chambers. So atriums. So the atriums are actually the receiving chambers of the heart. They receive blood from different parts of the body, and they have thinner walls than the ventricles because all they do is receive blood. The ventricles actually are the distributing chambers of the body, of the heart, so they distribute the blood to different parts of the body. Therefore they have thicker walls because it's a much more difficult job than actually receiving blood. So remember that the articles have thinner walls, receive blood, ventricles, thicker walls, and distribute blood. In addition to this, we have the valves. So what is actually the use of the valve? The valves permit blood flow in only one direction, one specific direction. For example, we have oxygenated blood in the left side of the heart, and we have deoxygenated blood in the right side of the heart. We don't want the so once the oxygenated blood is deposited in the left atrium, for example, this atrium, and this passes to the left ventricle, we don't want the oxygenated blood to go back from the ventricle to the atrium. We just want it to stay in the ventricle and then get passed to different parts of the body through the aorta. So that is how valves actually work, and that's the purpose for valves. So we have 4 valves in the heart. We have the mitral valve, the bicuspid valve, tricuspid valve, aortic semilunar valve, and the pulmonary semilunar valve. So the mitral valve or the bicuspid valve is actually the valve present between the left atrium and ventricle, and it's called the bicuspid valve because it has 2 cusps. The tricuspid valve has 3 cusps and it's present between the right atrium and the right ventricle. Just so you guys know, the blue color is for deoxygenated blood and the red color is for oxygenated blood. So your left side of the heart carries the oxygenated blood and the right side is the deoxygenated blood part. And this muscular membrane that you see in the middle is actually the septum. Sorry, my bad. It's actually the septum, and the septum prevents the mixing of the deoxygenated and oxygenated blood. So that's the use of that. Then coming to the aortic semilunar valve, it's actually present at the origin of the aorta, and the pulmonary semilunar valve, which is this, is present at the origin of the pulmonary artery. Coming to 4 important blood vessels in the heart. First, we have the aorta. The aorta is extremely important and it is one of the biggest blood vessels in the body, in your entire body. It is one of the biggest blood vessels. The aorta is an artery, yes, and it carries oxygenated blood from the left ventricle to different parts of the body. The superior vena cava and inferior vena cava, these two blue thingies here, the blue blood vessels, thingies. If you hear me say a lot of thingies, it's just because I'm so used to saying thingies. But actually, it's a blood vessel. They're two blue blood vessels, and they carry deoxygenated blood from all parts of the body and deposit them in the right atrium. So that's the job of the superior and inferior vena cava. Then we go on to pulmonary artery. The pulmonary artery carries deoxygenated blood from the right ventricle to the lungs for purification. And the pulmonary artery is in fact the only artery in the entire body to carry deoxygenated blood, because all arteries usually only carry oxygenated blood, as you can see in the aorta, but this is the only artery that carries deoxygenated blood. After purification, the oxygenated blood is carried through the pulmonary vein, and again the pulmonary vein is the only vein in the body to carry oxygenated blood. Because usually mostly veins only carry deoxygenated blood, but the pulmonary vein is the only vein in the body to carry oxygenated blood. So this concludes the parts of the heart. Try saying that. And now we're going to move on to how the heart works. We have two diagrams here. This diagram mainly so that you guys can see the direction of blood flow, but it's not a great diagram. But I will be explaining to you guys using this diagram because it has everything labeled for your convenience, and I can show you the movement of blood, the direction of blood flow in this diagram properly. So I'm going to begin with the deoxygenated blood first instead of the oxygenated. So we know that our organs absorb oxygen and minerals from oxygenated blood, and after that the deoxygenated blood that's formed is collected and not collected really, but it's taken to the heart through the superior and inferior vena cava. And there are these two blood vessels. The superior vena cava actually collects the deoxygenated blood from all parts above your shoulders, all body parts, your head, your ears, all of those parts are only by the superior vena cava. And the inferior vena cava collects deoxygenated blood from all parts of the body below your shoulders, so your hands, your legs, your trunk, your abdomen, all of those body parts. That's the inferior vena cava collects deoxygenated blood from any part below your shoulders. So after it's collected, it is deposited in the right atrium, which is this atrium. And from the right atrium, as it's only the receiving chamber, the blood is passed on to the right ventricle. And from the right ventricle, the deoxygenated blood is passed to the pulmonary artery and is taken to the lung for purification. So in the lung, obviously an exchange of gases takes place and oxygenated blood is formed. And the oxygenated blood is brought back to the heart, which is the left atrium, to the pulmonary vein. This red blood vessel that you see is the pulmonary vein. It's brought to the left atrium. So from the left atrium, the oxygenated blood is passed to the left ventricle, and from the left ventricle it is passed through the aorta to different parts of the body. Again, the organs absorb oxygen and minerals from the blood, and then again deoxygenated blood is carried to the heart by the superior vena cava, and this cycle continues and continues and continues, forming a cardiac cycle. Now, if you guys have noticed, the blood passes twice through the heart, and the circulation is actually called double circulation. Now, to specify, the two circulations are actually systemic or body circulation, which is the blood flow to the entire body and back to the heart. And then we have pulmonary circulation or lung circulation, which is the flow of blood, the deoxygenated blood to the heart, to the lungs, and purification and the oxygenated blood back to the heart. So there are two types of circulations, but I won't be going into detail because I only have basic knowledge about these two circulations, and I don't want to confuse you guys. But this is why it's called double circulation, and this entire cycle is called the cardiac cycle. I think that's it for today's video. I hope you guys enjoyed.